Love and mercy. Love. Love is the most essential element of every being, and it is the most radiant light, and it is the greatest power, able to resist and overcome all else. Love elevates every soul that absorbs it and prepares these souls for the journey to eternity. Souls that have been able to make contact with eternity through love exert themselves to inspire in all other souls what they have derived from eternity. They dedicate their lives to this sacred duty, a duty for the sake of which they endure every kind of hardship to the very end, and just as they pronounce love with their last breath, they will also breathe love while being raised on the day of judgment. It is impossible for souls without love to be elevated to the horizon of human perfection. Even if they lived for hundreds of years, they could not advance on the path to perfection. Those who are deprived of love, as they are entangled in the nets of selfishness, are unable to love anybody else, and die unaware of the love that is deeply instilled in the very being of existence. A child is received with love when he is born, and grows up in a warm atmosphere composed of affectionate, loving souls. Even if children may not enjoy the same love to the same degree in later phases of their lives, they always long for it and pursue it throughout their lives. There are impressions of love on the face of the sun. Water evaporates, rising toward those impressions, and after it has been condensed in drops high above, the drops fall joyfully onto the earth on wings of love. Then, thousands of flowers burst through with love, offering smiles to their surroundings. Dewdrops on leaves glitter with love and twinkle with amusement. Sheep and lambs bleat and skip about with love, and birds and chicks chirp with love and form choruses of love. Each being takes part in the grand orchestra of love in the universe with its own particular symphony and tries to demonstrate, by free will or through its disposition, an aspect of the deep love that is found in existence. Love is ingrained in the soul of a human being so deeply that many people leave their home for its sake. Many families are ruined, and in every corner, a Majnun groans with love, longing for his Layla. As for those who have not been able to uncover the love inherent in their being, they regard such manifestations of love as madness. Altruism is an exalted human feeling, and its source is love. Whoever has the greatest share in this love is the greatest hero of humanity. These people have been able to uproot any feelings of hatred and rancor in themselves. Such heroes of love continue to live even after their death. These lofty souls who, by each day kindling a new torch of love in their inner world and by making their hearts a source of love and altruism, are welcomed and loved by people, have received the right to an eternal life from the Supreme Judge. Death, not even doomsday, will not be able to remove their traces. A mother who can die for the sake of her child is a heroine of affection. Individuals who dedicate their lives to the happiness of others are entitled valiant devotees, but those who live and die for all of humanity are commemorated as monuments of immortality who deserve to be enthroned in the hearts of humanity. In the hands of these heroes, love becomes a magic elixir to overcome every obstacle and a key to open every door. Those who possess such an elixir and key will sooner or later open the gates to all parts of the world and spread the fragrance of peace everywhere, using the censers of love in their hands. The most direct way of going to the hearts of people is the way of love, the way of the prophets. Those who follow it are rarely rejected, and even if they are rejected by a few, they are welcomed by thousands. Once they are welcomed through love, nothing can prevent them from attaining their ultimate goal, God's pleasure. How happy and prosperous are those who follow the guidance of love. How unfortunate, on the other hand, are those who lead the life of the deaf and dumb, unaware of the innate love deep in their souls. O God, the most exalted, today, when hatred and rancor have enveloped everywhere like layers of darkness, we take refuge in your infinite love and entreat at your door, begging you to fill the hearts of your mischievous, pitiless slaves with love and humane emotions. Love for humankind. Love is an elixir. A human lives with love, is made happy by love, and makes those around him or her happy with love. In the vocabulary of humanity, love is life. We feel and sense each other with love. God Almighty has not created a stronger relation than love, this chain that binds humans one to another. In fact, the earth is nothing but a ruin without love to keep it fresh and alive. Jinn and humans have sultans. Bees, ants, and termites have their queens. For each of these there is a throne. Kings and queens come to power in different ways, and then they ascend their thrones. Love is the sultan that reigns on the throne of our hearts, with no power struggle being involved. The tongue and lips, the eyes and the ears only have a value as long as they carry the flag of love. Yet love is valuable in and of itself. The heart, the pavilion of love, is priceless because of the love it carries. Castles can be conquered without bloodshed merely by waving flags of love in front of them. Sultans become soldiers of affection when conquered by the soldiers of love. We have been brought up in an atmosphere in which the victories of love are in our eyes and the sound of the drums of love resounds in our hearts. Our hearts beat with excitement when we see the flag of love waving. We have become so intertwined with love that our lives become purely dependent on love, and we dedicate our souls to it. When we live with love. When we die with love. In every breath, we feel it with our whole existence. It is our warmth in the cold and our oasis in the heat. In this overpolluted world, where evil is everywhere, if there is something that has been left untouched and clean, that is love. Among all the fading ornaments of this life, if there is a beauty that has preserved its magnificence and charm without fading, that is also love. There is nothing more real or more lasting than love in any nation or society in this world. Wherever the sound of love, softer and warmer than a lullaby, is heard, all other voices, all instruments, are muted, and they all join together in a contemplation of silence with their most melodic strains. Creation is the result of lighting the wick of the candle of love, the wick of being known and seen. If the Lord did not love creation, there would be neither moons, nor suns, nor stars. The heavens are all poems of love, with the earth being the rhyme. In nature, the heavy blow of love is felt, and in relationships between people, the flag of love can be seen to wave. In society, if there is a currency that maintains its value, it is love. And again, the value of love is found in itself. Love weighs more if weighed against the purest gold. Both gold and silver can lose their value in different markets and places, but the doors of love are closed to any kind of pessimism, and nothing can alter its inner stability and harmony. Up to this very moment, only those who are immersed in hatred, wrath, and enmity plan to resist and struggle against love. Ironically, the only cure that will calm these brutal souls is love. Beyond the effect of worldly treasures, there are other problems that only the mystical keys of love can solve. It is not possible that any value on this earth can overcome or even compete with love. The cartels of gold, silver, coin, or any other object of value are almost always conquered in this marathon by the devotees of affection and love. When the day comes, despite all the splendid, pompous lifestyles of the owners of material wealth, their coffers are empty, their fires have burned out, yet the candle of love always burns, giving light and diffusing this into our hearts and souls. Those fortunate people who have kneeled in front of the altar of affection and who have devoted their lives to spreading love have not left even the smallest space in their vocabulary for words like hatred, wrath, conspiracy, or resentment, and even if it means putting their very lives at risk, they have never indulged in enmity. Their heads are humbly bowed, filled with love. They have never greeted anything other than love. When they rise, feelings of enmity try to find a haven in which to hide. Feelings of hatred become jealous, recoiling from the blow delivered by love. The only magic, the only spell that can destroy the tricks of Satan is love. The messengers and prophets extinguished the fires of hatred and jealousy kindled by the pharaohs, the Nimrods, and other tyrannous kings. They used nothing but love. The saints have tried to gather together the undisciplined and rebellious souls, spread all over like loose pages. They have used love to try to introduce humane behavior to others. The power of love was great enough to break the spells of Harut and Marut, and effective enough to extinguish the fires of hell. Hence, there is no doubt that a person who is armored with love needs no other weapon. Indeed, love is strong enough to stop a bullet or even a cannonball. Our interest in our environment and our love for humankind, that is, our ability to embrace creation, depends on knowing and understanding our own essence, our ability to discover ourselves, and to feel a connection with our Creator. In parallel with the ability to discover and feel our inner depths and hidden potential within our essence, we will also be able to appreciate that others also possess the same potential. Moreover, because these inner values are directly related to the Creator, and because a respect for the riches that are hidden in every creature is nurtured, we will start to see every living thing from a different perspective and in a different manner. In reality, the level of our understanding and appreciation of one another depends on how well we recognize the qualities and riches that each person possesses. We can summarize this concept with a thought based on a saying of the prophet, "Peace and blessings be upon him." A believer is the mirror of another believer. We can enlarge on this saying as, a human is a mirror of another human. If we are able to succeed in doing this, as well as being able to understand and appreciate the riches hidden within every person, we will also understand how to relate these riches to their true owner. And thus we will accept that anything in this universe that is beautiful, affectionate, or loving belongs to Him. A soul that can sense this depth says, as did Rumi, presenting us tales from the language of the heart, "Come, come and join us, as we are the people of love devoted to God. Come, come through the door of love and join us and sit with us. Come, let us speak one to another through our hearts. Let us speak secretly, without ears and eyes. Let us laugh together without lips or sound. Let us laugh like the roses, like thought. Let us see each other without any words or sound. Since we are all the same, let us call each other from our hearts. We won't use our lips or tongue. As our hands are clasped together, let us talk about it." In our present culture, it is not so easy to witness such a deep understanding of these humane feelings and values. We cannot find these easily in Greek or Latin thought or in Western philosophy. Islamic thought sees each one of us as a different manifestation of a unique ore, as different aspects of one reality. Indeed, the people who have gathered around common points, such as the oneness of God, the Prophet, and the religion, resemble the limbs of a body. The hand does not need to compete with the foot. The tongue does not criticize the lips. The eye does not see the mistakes of the ears, and the heart does not struggle with the mind. As we are all limbs of the same body, we should cease this duality that violates our very union. We should clear the way to unite people. This is one of the greatest ways in which God grants people success in this world, and how He transforms this world into a paradise. It is in this way that the doors of heaven will be opened wide in order to give us a warm welcome. Hence, we should remove all ideas and feelings that pull us apart and run to embrace one another. Humanism and love of humanity. Love is not only one of the most frequently talked about issues today, it is also one of the most essential issues. Actually, love is the rose in our belief, a realm of the heart that never withers. Above all else, just as God wove the universe like lace on the loom of love, the most magical and charming music in the bosom of existence is always love. The strongest relationship among individuals that forms family, society, and nation is love. Universal love shows itself throughout the cosmos in the fact that each particle helps and supports every other particle. This is true to such an extent that the most dominant factor in the spirit of existence is love. As an individual of the universal chorus, almost every creature acts and behaves in its own style, according to the magical tune it has received from God, in a melody of love. However, this exchange of love from existence to humanity and from one creature to another takes place beyond their will, because the divine will completely dominates them. From this perspective, humankind consciously participates in this symphony of love that is being played in existence. By developing the love in their true nature, human beings investigate how they can demonstrate it in a human way. Therefore, without misusing the love in their spirit and for the sake of the love in their own nature, every person should offer real help and support to others. They should protect the general harmony that has been put in the spirit of existence, considering both the natural laws and the laws that have been made to govern human life. Humanism is a doctrine of love and humanity, which is articulated recklessly these days, and it has a potential to be easily manipulated through different interpretations. Some circles try to impose an abstract and unbalanced understanding of humanism by confusing people about jihad in Islam and awakening suspicion in their hearts. It should be difficult to reconcile with humanism the strange behavior of championing pity and mercy for those who are involved in anarchy and terror to demolish the unity of a country, for those who have heartlessly murdered innocent people as a part of centuries-long activities that are aimed at destroying the welfare of a nation, and even more horribly, for those who do this in the name of religious values, and those who recklessly accuse Islam of allowing terrorist attacks. Every believer should follow God's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in communicating the truth. They should never give up conveying to people the principles of happiness in both worlds. The companions, who as a community were a vivid example of the truth embodied by the prophet, became examples of moderation and balance in every matter. Some remarkable people from the fortunate generation that immediately followed the companions went to the caliph to learn what their punishment would be if they accidentally stepped on a grasshopper. When we look at the outer walls of our mosque and minarets that radiate light, we see tiny holes made for birds to nest in. This is an expression of the depth of love of our ancestors. History is intertwined with such tremendously humane acts that protected animals as well as people. In the framework of Islam's universal principles, the consideration and idea of love is very balanced. Oppressors and aggressors have denied this love, because just as love and mercy shown to oppressors makes them more aggressive, it also encourages them to violate the rights of others. For this reason, mercy should not be shown to people who threaten universal love. Mercy shown to an oppressor is the most merciless act toward the oppressed. However, we should show mercy for those who lapse unintentionally or feel remorse for their wrong. The Prophet said, "Help your brothers whether they are oppressors or victims. You can help oppressors by making them stop their oppression to others." Love of God. In these bleak and inauspicious days, when our hearts are overwhelmed with enmity, when our spirits are sickened, when hatred and antagonism are out of control, it is crystal clear that we need love and mercy as we need water or air. We seem to have forgotten love. What is more, compassion is a word rarely used. We have no mercy for each other, nor love for people. Our feeling of pity has diminished. Our hearts are adamant, and our horizon is pitch black from hostility. It is for this reason that we see everything and everybody as being bleak. Throughout the world there are many tyrants that detest tolerance. The number of those who curse dialogue is not that small at all. What most of us do is to seek ways to fight, to blacken one another's name with various lies, and we express ourselves with our fangs, our claws, our words that reek of blood. There is a terrifying disunion among individuals as well as among the people. We begin our sentences with the words we, you, and others. Never does our hatred disintegrate and disperse. We conclude our nauseating rows, indicating that we will continue, still bearing feelings that will arise in future tension. We are distant from one another, and this distance or disunion is reflected in our every act. Like a burst rosary, we scatter here and there. We cause each other incomparably more suffering than unbelievers do. As a matter of fact, we have forsaken God, and thus He has disbanded us. Because we could not believe in and love Him to the degree required, He withdrew the feeling of love from our hearts. What we are now doing, deep in the abyss of our bosoms, where we are condemned to suffer yearning for Him, is to utter the egotistic nonsense of I, you, and to label each other as reactionary, infidel fanatic, and to constantly produce scenarios to dethrone one another. It is as though we have been cursed, as if we have indeed been deprived of loving and being loved, and we are craving mercy, compassion, and bliss. We did not love Him, so He took love away. No matter how long we wait, He will make us love one another if only we turn to Him and love Him. However, we are distant from the source of love. The roads we are on do not lead to Him, not at all. On the contrary, they are leading us away from Him. Our spirits, which used to receive streams of love, receive nothing now. Our hearts, like dry deserts, there are caves in our inner worlds, resembling the dens of wild animals. The love of God is the only remedy for all these negative things. The love of God is the essence of everything and is the purest and cleanest source of all love. Compassion and love flow to our hearts from Him. Any kind of human relation will develop in accordance with our relation to Him. Love of God is our faith, our belief, and our spirits in the physical body. He made us live when we did. If we are to live today, it is only through Him. The essence of all existence is His love, and the end is an expansion of that divine love in the form of paradise. Everything He created depends on love, and He has bound His relationship with humankind to the holy pleasure of being loved. The sphere of the manifestation of love is the soul. To whatever direction we may orient it, it always turns to God. The sufferings due to disorientation and getting lost in multiplicity, rather than in the unity of God, are ours. If we relate our love for everything to God, and thus if we are able to take love in its real meaning, we will then be aloof from the various things that disperses love, and we will avoid associating partners with God. Thus, we will remain like those who advance on the true path with our love and our relationship to all of existence. Idolaters have considered idols as something to worship only because they were worshipped by their ancestors. God, on the other hand, is beloved and worshipped because He is God. His lordship and greatness require us to be His servant. We always endeavor to worship Him, to express our love for Him, to thank Him for our attainments, and to voice our affection for Him, our relation with Him, and our connection to Him. In worldly love, aspects like beauty, perfection, form, harmony in appearance, greatness, reputation, power, position, status, prosperity, family and lineage, etc., have all been regarded as reasons for love. Occasionally, there have been people who fall into the error of associating partners with God. This is due to their excessive love and affection for these phenomena, which may explain why idolatry exists. Such people are usually fond of facial or physical beauty, or manners. They applaud perfection, prostrating themselves before magnificence and greatness, sacrificing their humanity and liberty for the sake of wealth and power. and flattering in their greed for position and status. In this way, by distributing their love and affection to many an impotent creature, not only do they waste their emotions, which are meant primarily to be used in relation to the true opulent and mighty one, they also experience death after death due to unreciprocated love, or to the indifference and unfaithfulness of their beloved ones. As for believers, on the other hand, they love God in the very first place, and they feel affection to others through their love for Him. For the sake of the manifestation and blessings of the Just One, they keep in touch with every person and everything, declaring their love and appreciating these things on His behalf. Indeed, without taking God into consideration, any love for this or that object is futile, unpromising, indecisive, and fruitless. Above all else, a believer must love Him and have a liking for all others only because they are colorful manifestations and reflections of His divine names and attributes. Also, people must applaud these things with great admiration, and each time a person sees such a thing, they must think, "This too is by you," and experience a period of unification with the lover. For this, however, we need pure and virtuous people that can read the verses of God in the faces of people. Verily, for those who can decipher, every creature is a shining mirror and a eulogy written in great verse. Above all else is the human face, reflecting the secret of mercy. The All-Just made you a mirror of His self, a mirror of His unique self. How significant the above couplet is! Not only does it remind us of our position, it also stresses reality. If a human being is a mysterious mirror of the concealed beauty, which is without a doubt the case, then a person must turn to him with the eyes of his or her heart, lying in wait to witness the manifestations and expecting breezes that will take him or her to residences of deeper love. Also, in order to please Him, and thus to become one favored by Him, a person must make use of each and every means available on the road leading to His intimacy. Like a key in the lock of the hidden treasure, his or her heart must keep turning all the time. As such, if love is Solomon and the heart is the throne of Solomon, it goes without saying that the Sultan will ascend the throne sooner or later. Once Solomon ascends the throne, or in other words, when love meets the heart, people always think of him, speak to him in the inner world, and taste his blessings, openly and explicitly, in the water they drink, in the food they taste, and in the air they breathe. Moreover, they feel the warmth of his intimacy in all actions. The relationship of the tides of closeness and love deepens, and their hearts begin to burn as if on fire. At times, they are destroyed by the fire of love, yet never do any of them complain, and thus never do any of them tire others with their sighs. In contrast, such people consider these to be a gift bestowed by Him. They burn like a furnace without smoke or flames. Like chastity, they preserve their joy and love for God, never revealing any secrets to tactless people. This road is open to everybody. Nonetheless, it is essential that the traveler be sincere and determined. If believers find out that all of beauty, perfection, greatness, excellence, magnificence belong to God, then they turn to God with all the willingness, love, and affection that have been brought about by these means, and they love God with a love that is fit for His sublime being. This love, if not passion, is for Him, and it is the source of human love and desire in a unified manner. After all, in a heart that is confined to uniformity and that relies on Islamic principles, one can never observe any deviation, let alone any disorder of love. Believers love God because He is God, and their love for God is not connected to any earthly or unearthly considerations. They filter and test the gushing springs of love and the waterfalls of their desire for God with the Holy Quran and the principles of the most exalted Spirit. Such people also use these as a barrier in the path that they follow with human fallibility. Even at times when they are completely consumed with the fire of love, They act righteously and justly. Never does presumption interfere in their love for God. Instead, regarding Him as the real owner and protector of everything, who is known with His divine names and attributes, they love God wholeheartedly with a clean, sacred, and reverent love. Believers love God more than anything, prior to and in the aftermath of everything, as the real beloved, the real desired, and the real worshipped. They desire God, and through every possible action, they cry out that they are the servants of God. For the sake of this devotion, they love in the first place Prophet Muhammad, the pride of humanity, who was the loyal attendant, the true interpreter of God's essence, names, and attributes, the end of the succession of prophets, and the essence of messengership. Peace and blessings be upon him. Following him, they love all the other prophets and people of sainthood who were the true vicegerents, the purest mirrors, and devout servants of Almighty God, who were in charge of representing divine purposes and supervising the building, design, and order of the world. Next, they love youth, for it is conferred by God as an advance credit upon humankind so that they can better understand and evaluate this finite world. After that, they love this world, for it is an arable field of the other realms, and also a manifestation of His beautiful names. Then they love their parents, for, being heroes of affection and mercy, they undertake the responsibility of looking after their children. Finally, they love children, for they sincerely protect their parents and have an intimate closeness to them as well. All these can be regarded as signs of cordial affection toward God and of love for the sake of God. Unbelievers love people as if they were loving God, while believers love them because of God. These two are totally different. This sort of God-oriented love, which is experienced through faith and prayers, is unique to ideal believers, while the corporeal love based on waywardness and the evil commanding self are the manifestations of sin and disobedience hidden in the nature of man. Love of God and utterances of the lovers of God are like a sacred potion angels wish to drink. If this love grows to such an extent that the lovers forsake everything, material or spiritual, for the sake of the beloved, leaving nothing for themselves, then there is merely the consideration of the beloved in the heart. The heart girds itself with this consideration, beating accordingly, whereas eyes verbalize this love with tears. The heart reproaches the eye for releasing a secret, and the bosom for cooling down. Crying and bleeding inside, he tries not to let others discover his agony, and says, "You claim to be in love, then grieve not over the calamity of love. Do not let others into your suffering from love." Actually, love is a sultan, the heart is the throne, and the groans of hope and longing uttered on the prayer rugs in the remotest corners are the voice of that sultan. Never should one let others into these groans of the remotest places, which indeed are the launching pads to reach God, and thereby help those ignorant ones make fun of them. If this spectacular love is for the omniscient one, then it should be kept in the most private sphere, not letting it fly away from its nest. Telling of their trivial love, these conventional lovers wander here and there, proclaiming their love to all, acting like madmen, making their love obvious to all. Lovers of God, on the other hand, are sincere and quiet. Leaning their heads on God's threshold, they express themselves merely to Him. From time to time they faint, but they never reveal their secrets. They are at His service with their hands and feet, their eyes and ears, their tongues and lips, and they wander in the places of His sublime attributes. Immersed in His light of being, they melt and disappear as immortal in His love. As they feel and sense God, they burn and exclaim, "More." Much do they feel at the peaks of their hearts, and still they cry, "More." They are never satisfied with love, though they love and are loved. More, they keep repeating. And as they continue to ask for more, the glorious Beloved uncovers veils for them, presenting to their wisdom things never seen before, and also whispering to their spirits many a secret. After a certain point, what they feel, what they love, what they think, becomes Him. In everything they see, they find graceful manifestations of His beauty. Leaving their strength entirely, at a certain time they connect their willpower to His, melt in His demands, and evaluate this high rank with how much they love and are loved, and again with how much they know and are known. With obedience to Him and faithfulness, they express their love. They lock the door of their hearts with bolt after bolt in such a secure manner that no stranger can ever enter that pure house. With all their beings, they are witnesses of God, and their praise and appreciation of God is far beyond their comprehension. Their belief, on the other hand, in God's response to such loyalty is adamant. Their place in God's presence is in direct proportion with His in their hearts, which is why they endeavor to stand upright before Him. Never do they act like a creditor when they love Him deeply. On the contrary, they are as embarrassed as a debtor. As Rabia el-Adawiyah put it, "I swear on your holy being that I have not worshipped you demanding your paradise. Rather, I loved you and connected my slavery to my love." As such, they walk with gushing love toward His realm, keeping His blessings and kindness in mind. With their hearts, they constantly endeavor to stay close to Him, and with their reason and intellect, they observe phenomena in the mirrors of the divine names. They hear voices of love in everything, are mesmerized by the fragrance of each and every flower, and consider every scene that is beautiful as a reflection of His beauty. For Him, all they hear, feel, or think of is nothing other than love, as a result of which they watch the whole existence as an exhibition of love and, again, listen to it as a harmony of love. Once love has put up its sumptuous tents in the valleys of the heart, all opposite events seem to be the same, such as peace, unrest, blessing, calamity, hot, sweet, comfort, discomfort, grief, pleasure, all giving the same sound and looking the same way. Indeed, for loving hearts, suffering is no different than pleasure. To them, suffering is the very cure, so they drink pain and agony as they drink from the rivers of heaven. No matter how merciless the time and events get, they stay still with a profound feeling of loyalty. With their eyes fixed on the door to be opened, they lie in wait to welcome some manifestations and kindness in different dimensions. They crown His love by respecting and also obeying Him. Their hearts beat with submission, and they shake due to the fear of disobeying the Beloved. So as not to fall, ironically, they take shelter again in the unique source of reliance and aid. This kind of quest for an agreement with and consent of God makes them in time very dearly sought by everybody both on earth and in the heavens. The only thing in their consideration is nothing but God. For them, expecting something in return is a kind of deception, yet they regard it as discourteous not to accept the blessings they have not asked for. They give these blessings high esteem, but cautiously each of them moans, "I take refuge in you from their temptations." An ardent longing is the highest rank for a lover, and to get lost in the lover's desires and wishes is the most unreachable attainment. Love is founded upon elementary principles, such as repentance, alertness, and patience, whereas once introduced, self-possession, familiarity, love, longing, and other principles are required in order to merit this position. The first lesson on the path of love is purification, to be deprived of personal desires, to relate all your thoughts and communication to Him, to be busy with things that hint of Him, to wait expectantly in case He manifests, and also to stay determinedly where you are for a lifetime in case He turns to you one day. In this path, love is to be madly in love. Ardor is the gushing passion, enthusiasm and desire. When ardor becomes the true nature of humans, then this is yearning. Consent is meeting every act of the lover with pleasure, Self-possession is being cautious against becoming intoxicated with the blessings of hearing or feeling His presence, or being under His direct guidance. The more people develop in themselves one of the above features, the more changes there are that can be witnessed in their behavior. Sometimes they seek quiet bays where they can confide in Him. Sometimes, under the influence of a variety of considerations, they talk to Him and state their grievance concerning separation. They are filled with joy expecting union and relax with tears of bliss. At times, they do not see what is going on around them, for they experience unity in multiplicity, and sometimes they get lost in the awe of peace and cannot even hear their own voices. Love grows and develops in the bosom of wisdom. Wisdom is nourished by knowledge of the divine. Those who are not wise cannot love at all, and those whose perception is weak cannot reach wisdom either. Occasionally, God Himself implants love in hearts and activates the inner mechanism, an extra blessing which most people long for. Nevertheless, relying on some marvelous wonders and waiting impotently is one thing. An active waiting in endless contractions is totally different. The faithful servants at the gate of the All-Just One put their expectations on action, take up a dynamic stance, and, therefore, they generate with that seemingly still position enough energy to suffice the entire universe, materializing awesome activities. These people are loyal lovers incarnating certain characteristics. They meet every act of the beloved with pleasure and display faithfulness all the time, as if repeating Nesimi, "A desperate lover, I won't, O the beloved, abandon you. I won't do so even if you rend my heart with a dagger." Despite the fact that they always seriously long for His company, never ever do they whine. They remove all expectations that are not of Him from their minds and think only of His presence. Their conversations become those of the beloved, and thus their voices gain an angelic profundity. For them, love is everything. They can survive without bodies, but without souls they cannot. They believe that there is no room in their hearts for others, only for the love of the beloved. As such, even if they are the poorest and weakest of the world, they hold a status envied by kings as well. They are big in their smallness, mighty in their impotence, wealthy enough in their neediness to command the entire universe. Though they look like a puny candle, they are like an energy source rich enough to light up suns. Even if everyone were to run toward the loyal lovers, it is still clear to where and to whom the lovers are running. With the wealth of their essential characters, they transcend the entire universe. But when they turn toward Him, they become a spark, even less, they become nothing by forgetting all that pertains to their existence. A life without Him counts little for them. A life without Him is not a life at all. Leading a life without loving is a wasted life, and the delights and pleasures not related to Him are nothing but a placebo. They ceaselessly talk about love and longing and regard those who are not familiar with these as being somehow different. Appeal to mercy. It is patently obvious that those who do not share the same values inherited from the past, or who do not rely on the same sources as us, are not likely to appreciate our affliction, nor can they help but be puzzled by our general attitudes. In fact, for those who view the present and the future from only a materialistic point of view, and who deal with life merely in accord with its corporal aspects, it is not possible to feel or taste anything but the transient and shallow pleasures of the body. And again, according to the same corrupt view, things not related to corporeality or to the body are not worth mentioning. Neither the past nor the future holds any meaning. The past and the future are merely refuges which those who have lost the present can take shelter. What such people consider essential is the present. They see the rest as being a waste of time. Truly, these people, imprisoned within such a narrow perspective, are not likely to understand such statements as, "Were you to know what I know, you would seldom laugh, and often weep." Nonetheless, the Sultan of the words, the prophet who uttered this hadith, knew well over what he was crying, just as those mature spirits satisfied only with faith, divine knowledge and love, and prepared with their armament for eternity, also know why they are weeping and of what they are in pursuit. There are many reasons for such people to cry. As well as belief and finding peace, a problem in which everybody is interested, or the danger of being drowned in disbelief, there is a multitude of problems that need to be solved, social, economic, political, and cultural. There are cases of injustice that are considered to be the root of unease in society. There are rights that need to be reconsidered and redistributed in accordance with human values and along the principles of fairness and conscience. There are hopes and ideals that are concerned with eternity, and, opposing these, there are anti-democratic obstacles that cannot be contemplated, as well as the propaganda of power. In many areas, emotions still dominate reason, and orders are given in accordance with the recklessness of power. In many parts of the world, human mistakes and acts that are considered to be wrong are still swept away with blood and tears. People, from time to time, are forcefully taken off in the direction of paradise, or roughly pushed toward hell, their willpower and opinions disregarded. New camps are being formed every day, each team fighting for their perspective or their commandments. Every ideology is depicting a lifestyle befitting their principles. Furthermore, people are forced to fit into this narrow portrait and to live accordingly. Throughout the world, in hundreds of places, individual consciences are still being crushed, the will of the community is still being ignored, and the eyes of the conscience are still being blinded. In fact, the shortest way to relieve their pains and to rid them of personal and social repression is to cease interfering with their consciences and to show them how to exist with their own awareness and will. Indeed, only when the mechanism of the conscience is kept alive and willpower and awareness are respected in society can the people stay human and be directed toward human values. Individuals can only be regarded as true citizens when they exist with their own conscience and willpower, thus growing mature enough to help others spiritually. Otherwise, society is inescapably inflicted with various social, political, administrative, and economic problems. A community that is made up of inadequate, inconsistent, or patched-together pieces cannot be called a nation. Likewise, a mass that appears to be a nation, yet which has deteriorated beyond recovery, cannot promise a bright future. If we want salvation as a whole society, it is essential that each and every individual be alert and motivated. The star of the good fortune of our society will appear in a surprisingly comforting manner if we plead for the salvation of others, shoulder to shoulder, with our palms opened to the sky. The essence of the fundamentals that help us reach the desired maturity is composed of our being aware of the faith with all its peculiar depths, of undergoing pain and effort in our worship, of being moral in all our acts, of being spiritually, consciously, and sensuously revitalized, and of weighing everything against the righteousness of the heart. Enlightened with these, we will transcend the limits of individuality, make demands in accordance with these principles, and be aware of the things that we demand as well. Going one step further, we will be able to connect everything with eternity and evaluate everything with the supreme criteria. Thus, sharing in all the advantages of humanity, we will be able to voice once again our eligibility to be in the most perfect form and nature, as the humans we are. I believe that those blessed ones who understand this pivotal point will not only attempt to lead others to the straight path, but will also guarantee their own future. I feel obliged to restate again that individual projects of enlightenment that are not planned to aid the community are doomed to fruitlessness. Moreover, it is not possible to revive values that have been destroyed in the hearts of the individual in society, nor in the conscience or the will power. Just as plans and projects for individual salvation that are independent of the salvation of others are nothing more than an illusion, so too, the thought of achieving success as a whole by paralyzing the individual awakening is a fantasy. In this light, we believe that, having clarified in our individual wills and consciences the fact that everybody has hands of their own, but by joining hands we can solve all the problems with a collective conscience and willpower. With this kind of attitude, we hope to retain and even to increase the fruitfulness of our individual lives while presenting to others the elixir of life and, therefore, steadily augmenting our material and spiritual value. To us, the more altruistic a plan or an attempt is, and the more often it is directed for the good of others, the more consistent and promising it is. This is true because what keeps a person alive is the goal of lifting others up. The converse of this is that it is personal interest that kills or paralyzes human beings. Those who waste their lives in pursuit of personal interest are sooner or later corrupted, although they are not necessarily involved in dirty politics. Those who stay alive by inspiring the awakening of others, on the other hand, walk safely providing the elixir of life in places where all others are being blown around like leaves. And such are the people who have been nominated to contentment in this marathon that takes place in both this world and the next. The camaraderie of the politician who seems to have accepted the existence and right to life of others just because they serve his or her personal interests can never be trusted, nor can anyone be safe when such politicians are antagonized. What such people think of all the time is their own personal interests. This is why they flatter and even submit themselves to the whims of other people. Such people crush, if need be, those they can afford to, and those whom they need are ceaselessly plotted against. When in power, these tyrants are ruthless, yet, when weak, they begin to cringe and fawn. Because they are consistently insincere, they are mostly beaten by their own tricks, preparing their own evil and wicked end. They make themselves believe that they are tricking and deceiving everybody, and that they are doing the right thing. These poor politicians, however, have placed themselves in a strange position, destroying their reputations for the sake of their careers. Such a deceptive intelligence, witnessed in some people, is a very serious disorder and is an incurable psychological illness. People of this kind always seek their own personal interest, despite the fact that these people are good for nothing. Nevertheless, this does not win them a reputation or credit in their career, and they end up cringing, licking boots. On the other hand, what lies at the roots of the behavior of people of service is a long period of preparation and severe suffering, followed by an appeal to mercy aimed at a search for human rights. This appeal almost always lies beyond individual responsibility, transcending the limits of the awareness of social responsibility with a depth of sincerity, and is a task fitting to a person of heart. People of heart are the leaders in each and every charitable act, reflecting their own style in their works, and they are open and honest in all their deeds. No matter how relentless and merciless the circumstances may be, such people are determined not to be diverted from their routes, and, relying on their own foundations, they do not become disturbed. With their inner and outer feelings, they are programmed to see and hear God in a certain way, to know and to be with God. They are people of this world and the next, people whose contact with others, from the aforementioned point of view, can be considered as contact with God. Apparently, it is possible to observe the zenith of the hereafter from this sort of worldliness. Moreover, the life that such people lead, with all its variants, is clear and boundless enough for them to enjoy a glimpse of the quiet of a harbor in the next world. Indeed, these purest of pure hearts have already achieved the blissful result that others can only dream of reaching after millions and millions of years of toil. They are considered to have reached the company of God, and to have sat down with the dwellers of the highest rank, knee to knee, shoulder to shoulder, proving that such people are the eternal winners. Always sincere and profound, these people of heart constantly seek grand projects and summits. They think of mercy, speak of mercy, and seek always to express themselves through mercy. They endeavor so heartily in the name of conducting everyone, without discrimination, to the infinite bliss, that they sacrifice the pleasures of the future world and spiritual power, not to mention materialistic interests and desire for position. They display in their spiritual position and in their relationships with others a spiritual attitude that reflects the fact that they are in the presence of the supreme power. And where others die, they realize successive revitalizations. Over and above the maxim, "Desire not for others what you do not desire for yourself," such people ceaselessly try harder for others, so that others will benefit from what these people of heart have already found useful. With the boundlessness of the horizon of such people, they are able to revive the feeling of mercy in the hearts of tyrants. At the same time, they believe that being with the oppressed is the same as being with God, and thus support them. Living for others is the most important factor that determines the behavior of such heroes. Their greatest worry is their quest for eligibility for such missions, whereas their most prevalent characteristic is that their utmost ambition is their search for God's consent. When striving to enlighten others, they feel no pain, nor do they undergo any shock caused by the delight of enlightening others. The achievements that such people accomplish are regarded as revelations of His holy aid, and such people bow in modesty, nullifying themselves again and again every day. In addition to all this, they tremble at the idea that their emotions are bound to interfere with the works that they have caused to come into existence, and groan, "You are all I need." For ages we have waited impatiently for such blessed hands to transform what can be depicted as the devastated lands, ruined homes, and remote deserts into a new realm, and we are determined to wait for many more years with faith, desire, and resoluteness. May the expectation of these pure, compassionate hearts for this infinite mercy not go unanswered.